So honestly, all those things are true. I'm obviously want more business. I'm always happy to make more money. But I understand the issue there, and I understand that, you want your dollar to go as far as you can. For my buyers, most of the times, I'll get your closing costs paid for by the seller. I'm making this video specifically for my unrepresented buyers. There's just some clarifications. Honestly, I get why folks would want to go unrepresented. You're probably thinking, well, if an agent's making some money off of it, I'd rather do it and not do it. I'd rather self-represent and I can probably get a better deal. Here's the only place where that, in my opinion, works. It works, honestly, if you're working with an unrepresented buyer and then you're an unrepresented seller and you're both going unrepresented. But where you typically go, and where I typically see folks who are unrepresented, is I'll see them at an open house, and you guys will be there, and you'll say, hey, I'm at this open house, and I want to buy X house. And then here's what ends up happening. One of two things. One, the listing agent is the one who's counseling the seller and who's going over all the options. He doesn't really want to work with an unrepresented buyer because that means more work for him. He has to work directly with them, and he has to have double responsibility. So if he ends up doing what's called a limited representation, where he does represent you, then he just double ends the deal and he gets both sides of it. So you don't save anything there, and now you don't have anyone who's going up to bat for you, which isn't a great place to be. So that's option number one, is the listing agent will just work both sides of it, right? And he'll get paid double, and he's happy, and you don't really get anything. He hasn't been going up to bat for your best interest, and he's not fully going up to bat for the seller's best interest. At that point, he's mostly going up to bat for his own best interest, which sometimes it can be a win-win situation and it can play out okay, but most of the times that's not the case. Option number two is you'll end up seeing it play out more like this. You'll put an offer, and then they'll say, hey, they're not represented. The listing agent will find whatever reason to say, hey, we don't really want to work with that person. We would rather work with XYZ person, because your average realtor, they're going to do 3 deals a year. That's it. I mean, they have 3 times, once every 4 months is what they'll end up doing. And if that's the case, they're only doing 3 deals a year. They're going to be pretty nervous with an unrepresented buyer, because if anything goes wrong, then it goes to him or her or whoever's on that other side, and then they end up getting beat up pretty good. And if there's any lawsuits, then the only agent who's on the board is them, so it increases their probability of getting sued substantially. Whereas if there's another agent and another agent, then all you have to worry about is taking care of your one client and not the other person. So a lot of times it ends up hurting that way. So you're thinking, oh man, this guy's just another agent, he just wants me to work with him, he just wants business, he just wants more money, blah blah blah. So honestly, all those things are true. I'm obviously want more business, I'm always happy to make more money, but I understand the issue there, and I understand that you want your dollar to go as far as you can. For my buyers, most of the times, I'll get your closing costs paid for by the seller in most cases. On top of getting your closing costs paid for by the seller, I have a really good grasp of price because I work in the market every single day. And on top of that, I know what is more important to some folks than price. So we talk about all those different things that are going on there, and then sometimes they'll say, oh yeah, I got this house, and because I was unrepresented, I saved $5,000. I was like, well, yeah, but I probably could have taken $5,000 off that purchase price, had them pay $5,000 in your closing costs. And at the end of it all, a lot of times I'll do a certain percentage back to you. So on average, it ends up being between $1,500 and $2,000 back out to you. And I can do that in a form of credit for closing costs, or in a form of repairs after the fact, or whatever it is that you want. I take a portion of my commission and I put it back out to you to stay competitive. So ultimately, you can decide to do whatever you want to do as an unrepresented buyer, but I'd weigh out those different things. It's how much are you actually saving is the real question. And then I'd look at that, and if you do end up doing that, then minimum I would require that to someone lower their purchase price is I don't know, probably at least 3% because you're going to have to do all this work and you're going to have to take care of everything. And, it's a lot of work and it's a lot of paperwork and it's working with the title companies and it's working with the loan officers and it's coordinating it all. But if you want to do that on your own, I'm 100% for competition. But if you'd like any help, or even if you found the deal and you're just like, hey, Terry, I found a deal. I know what I want to offer. I want everything done, but I'd like a little bit back or I'd like to work something out. Let me know. Honestly, I'm always happy to do it. If all I have to do is show up, write the offer, negotiate it, and then write it through the under contract phase, I'm happy to deal something out there that it's fair to you and it's fair to me and it's worth our time. So if it's something you guys are interested in, then let me know and let's talk about that. Thanks so much, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Bye-bye.